What's up, guys? It's TRT77, coach of the Chennai Chandelors, here with my Week 3 game of the BDL against Treeman. Now, on your screen, you're going to see his team, and you're going to see my team on the left. And as you can see off the bat, I think I have a really good matchup against this team. He is currently 1-1. He did win his last game against Ari, but I think we have a pretty good chance of keeping our winning streak going. We picked up a great win last week against Primal, which followed our really clinical win in week 1 against Chelsea, and I'd like to keep this unbeaten streak going. So going into this, I'd like to see probably this would be having this much of a matchup edge. I should probably try to extract a lot of differential here, because for me the thing is I don't normally care about differential, but just getting a little bit ahead early in the season on differential just prevents you having to think about it later, even though it is dubs and losses that get you into playoffs. I have seen people, especially recently, miss playoffs just purely on differential. And now, looking at this matchup, the first thing I see is Nidoking goes in. In theory, I think Nidoking should basically be able to hit every single mon on his team super effectively. And considering that outside of Tentacruel, I don't think any of these mons are particularly specially bulky or have a high special defense stat, I think this should be a really great game for Nidoking overall. He does have quite a few shared weaknesses, which makes this matchup a lot better for me, considering he has Gliscor and Executor Alola, who are both 4 times weak to ice, along with Scyther, which is weak to ice. His other water type, Tentacruel, is weak to ground, as is, well, 5 of his mons share a weakness to ground, which includes Steelix, Regieleki, Marowak, Tentacruel, and Pincurchin. Now, there's definitely no way I can attempt to outspeed Regieleki in this game, I don't think. So, in terms of spread, I think Nidoking is going to have to outspeed Gyarados. While building for this game, I did consider a Scarf Nidoking, but I feel like the ability to change moves and the fact that so many of his speed tiers are middling, or mons, even mons like Tentacruel and Gliscor, you're not really expecting them to run speed rather than bulk. So I think we should be fine, and it's just probably Porygon Z, Haxorus, and Regieleki that outspeed Nidoking with their natural sets. Outside of Nidoking here, my next bring here, I have to I am gonna, this is gonna be a game for Lantern, because I think that yes, Regieleki is not as much of a threat as, as much as its new toy syndrome, but I feel like there is a degree to which I shouldn't take this lightly. So Volt Absorb Lantern looks really good here. It can just pivot in and out. He doesn't really have a switch into it, because it does take hits pretty well and just Volt switch out. I think other than even Alolan Executor, I just run Ice Beam on it. And so I think Lantern is also great in this matchup. I don't think I'm going to shy away from bringing my winning combination of Scizor and Feeny in this game, because I don't see a reason why I shouldn't, because should he bring in electric type on Feeny, I have 2 immunities to bring in on them, and I am going to be running sub on Nidoking this week, and Nidoking can sub quite freely on Regieleki. I don't think it can sub as easily on Pincurchin, considering it does get access to Scald or Hydro Pump. But it should be able to sub quite easily on a lot of mons on this team. And outside of that, I feel like Victini is another Pokemon I'm looking at in this matchup. Victini always finds a way of being useful in every matchup, but here I feel like being able to outspeed both Haxorus and Gyarados, both his Dragon Dance mons or his speed boosting mons in this matchup, at +1 when Victini is speed boosting nature plus Scarf, I think is too easy to pass up on. And outside of that, I'd say this matchup, considering how weak his team is on the special side, I think going in with just the one physical attacker and Mega Scizor, usually it's not something I'd like to do, which is put a lot of pressure on one Mon to be the only physical attacker, or one Mon to be the only special attacker. And it's kind of funny when you look at my team and you see the highest special attack stat on this team is Victini with 100, but I'm bringing 5 special attackers to a game. And looking further, right now I have Lantern, Tapu Fini, Mega Scizor, Victini, and Nidoking. And going forth with my 6th Mon, I have a pick of Mons here. I don't see a reason to bring Galvantula here. I know it seems kind of redundant because now Galvantula hasn't shown up to 3 games, but it is a Mon I'm very comfortable with. I just don't see a need for webs here, or I don't see a need to let in Steelix on it, or let in Haxorus. So I just feel like Galvantula is not going to do it for me in this game. Serp is a good option here, considering that if he has Switch and Sleeve Storms, it's Scyther and Executor, and I can, once again, this is why I love having both Misty Terrain and Glare, is any switch-ins to Serp can get glared. In this case, I can glare Scyther, I can get a Dragon Pulse off at +2 on Executor or Lola, and we're pretty golden. Outside of that, I can glare Haxorus, and if he chooses, I don't have to glare Haxorus, I can just Dragon Pulse Haxorus at +2. So there is a lot of options on this team overall to deal with him, and I think at some point in this game, Nidoking is going to be able to get up a sub and clean. But depending on what Mons he's bringing, because I am expecting him to bring Haxorus, because I feel like Haxorus is the best way for him to threaten out Nidoking, and as is probably Scyther, basically because Scyther and Haxorus are the only 2 Mons outside, other than Porygon Z, that outspeed Nidoking, naturally not named Regieleki. The other 2 Mons, Gliscor and Tentacruel, I do not expect either to be to run speed in this matchup, considering how easy it is for me to counter both of them if they are offensive. But at the same time, I do not put it past Treeman to run an offensive variant. He brought SD Tentacruel in his last match, and I do not put it past him to bring such a set. As for the 6 I'm expecting Tentacruel to show up to this game. I think a combination of Haxorus, Gyarados, and PZ have to show up here, because while Porygon Z is not great against a team with a Mega Scizor, it can perhaps, or a Dusclops for that matter, it can perhaps be a good Scarfer for him in this game. He did show an affinity in his previous week's games to bring Banded Haxorus, which did concern me a bit, but I've got a physically defensive Scizor prepped and ready for Haxorus, and it should be quite easy for me to just roost off any damage that he chooses to dole out close combat or such. And considering we 4 times resist first impression, I have no hesitation in keeping in Superior on Haxorus either. And the other thing, I'm probably not going to reveal my Tapu Fini set for this week, considering that, okay, spoiler alert, it's probably not going to be revealed in-game if I'm not revealing it now. Nidoking is going to be a Ice Beam, Earth Power, and Thunderbolt. I see no reason to run Sludge Wave in this matchup, considering he doesn't have a Fairy on this team, and Ice Beam hits Gliscor, Executor, Scyther, and Haxorus, and pretty much Oko's all of them, barring Yachi Berry or such. And Earth Power Oko is pretty much all his ground weaknesses, barring a very specially defensive Tentacruel or a Shuka Tentacruel. And I feel like the last move being T-Bolt is just to make sure that I kill Gyarados before it can set up. And considering that this is a game where he has a team that can definitely snowball, but I'm not the biggest fan of his team, so I feel like I can exploit the common weaknesses, and in theory, Nidoking should just win should he not bring Haxorus or Porygon Z. So I'm gonna jump right on into the game, guys. Now jumping into the game, guys. As you can see, I'm quite surprised here with his team selection going into the game. He hasn't brought Haxorus, he hasn't brought Tentacruel, he hasn't brought Scyther or Porygon-Z. And looking at the 6 he's brought, I actually think I can lead Nidoking here because outside of a Scarf Gyarados, nothing on his team is actually or maybe like a random Scarf or a Lola Whack. I'm not even sure that outspeeds. Probably does. But I just don't think there's anything on this team that outspeeds Nidoking that's not named Regieleki here. So I'm going to lead Nidoking here, and I'm probably going to have to see what his lead is based off of and whether I can scout or break early in this game. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to make this slow and we'll jump into it. So he leads Alolan Executor. Now here, my thought process is simple. My moves on Nidoking are Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Earth Power. He doesn't know what item I am, but he actually does. He just frisks me. I'm stupid, sorry. But so he knows what item I am. He knows I'm Life Orb, so he knows I'm not Scarfed. But here I am just worried about if he's Yachi, because if he's Yachi and he has Earthquake, he can kill us. Or if he sets up Trick Room here, I really doubt he goes for the Trick Room play here because I'm 100% sure he knows I have Ice Beam. And unless he's Yachi and max HP, there's no way he's living said Ice Beam. And for me here, I think I'm just going to sub because that's my best play here, because the absolute worst case scenario is he gets Trick Room up on my sub play and then I just kill Executor, or I kill whichever mon comes in to break my sub first. So irrespective, I take him on here. And this is why Nidoking is so clutch in draft leagues. It's because this Pokemon is just so difficult to switch into, especially when you have teams with multiple common weaknesses or you just don't simply have the speed gears for them. That being said, I'm quite happy to not see Haxorus here, and I'm quite happy to not have to be dealing with that or Porygon-Z in this game. So as we're gonna start, he's gonna switch into Marowak Alola here, predicting the Ice Beam, but we're gonna sub. Now, I'm super happy about this position because now I don't have to care about predicting. Now I just know I'm going to click Earth Power here no matter what. I've got nothing to be afraid of. I feel like this is pretty much a winning position already because at this point, to break sub, he's going to have to be Scarf Gyarados, and he's gonna have to probably give up the Sturdy on Steelix just to break sub and probably give me Steelix as well. So irrespective, I think I'm getting at least 2 kills here. So here, I'm gonna go for the Earth Power. It crits Marowak. That crit did not matter in any conceivable universe. This is a Nidoking, and that's a stab Earth Power. And he goes into Gyarados. So I'm assuming he's Intimidate, which makes me think twice about it being a Scarf Gyarados. But him being Intimidate but him going straight into Gyarados makes me think, okay, this has to be Scarf because this is the only way he breaks sub. And as you're gonna see, we're gonna outspeed and kill Gyarados with T-Bolt. And I think he just forgot the speed tier that Nidoking had, and Nidoking was faster than Gyarados, just naturally. And now we're gonna kill Executor as well. Now we've shown our full move set, but I don't think there's much he can do at this point. Outside of breaking my sub using Sturdy on Steelix before, and then going into Regieleki, and I assume Hyper Beam. I do not think anything else that respects Hyper Beam kills from this range, even after the sub is broken. So here he just gives me Executor because I don't think I guess at this point he just had to see if I had Ice Beam or not. But there you can see the full set is just Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Earth Power, and Substitute. And now he's gonna go into Regieleki. I do not know what he's gonna go for here, and he reveals the Round, and that is Specs damage. And Round was actually a really good bring because it's a sound-based move and it goes through the sub, but it's extremely unfortunate because I think at this point he is consigned to the loss. And Nidoking is gonna go for the Earth Power, which essentially killed every Regieleki known to existence. And now he's gonna go into Steelix. I assume here he's just gonna let me take him down to Sturdy and break sub. I do not know why he didn't let me get him down to Sturdy and then go into Regieleki. Perhaps that would have been the better play, but I do not know if he had Hyper Beam on this set. maybe round was his way of breaking sub, because he had seen me bring sub on mons like Superior in the previous weeks, and maybe that was his reasoning for bringing round. Round was a good bring on his part. And here he does Mega Evolve, and that means we're just going to kill Steelix raw from full, because it loses the ability Sturdy. And here he goes in a Pincurchin, and this is pretty much game at this point. And Nidoking wraps this up, and I'm not gonna mend words here. This was pretty much, this is the fastest game I've been a part of or seen, and this was an absolute riot from Nidoking. It just went Super Saiyan mode. It just got 6 kills off the bat. Now, I'm kind of happy about this because I feel like his team did have threats in terms of Dragon Dancing. He told me after the game that Gyarados had Power Whip, so our Shuka Berry Lantern didn't help in terms of checking Gyarados, albeit +1 Gyarados was not a super big threat because we still outsped with Victini at like worst case, and I was not probably going to let him get to +2. Haxorus could have been a problem in this game, I feel, especially considering that Bandit Haxorus is what won him his last game. But at the end of the day, I can't be mad. We're now 3-0 + 13. We're sitting pretty. We're looking good right now. The start of the BDL season, especially being in the tougher division, I'm quite pleased here because we've got off to a great start. We've got Tapu Fini on the board, still kill leader, and we've got Nidoking now picking up 6 kills. This season's going well so far, but the thing is, our schedule gets a lot harder from now. After this, we play 2-time champion of the BDL and league admin Grum. After that, we play Lambo, who's been a champion in quite a few leagues. So our schedule is bound to get a lot harder from here on forth, and I feel like I needed to extract the maximum points from my first couple of games. I'm really happy to have picked up the win over Primal, and GG's Treeman. Hopefully he bounces back after this one. I already know the result of this next game, but I'm not sure if he's uploading yet. But his channel will be in the description below. That's all from me, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Also, I'm just gonna leave the link to my TBA draft analysis video for season 5 of the TBA in the iCard. It should be, well, somewhere above. And I'll catch you on the next one. Hope you all stay safe. Bye.